Kathleen Mathisen is Director of HR and Internal Communication at Grieg Seafood. She has a long history in oil and gas, but also in the seafood industry, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about what she's doing at Grieg and how she's making a difference. Thanks.
First of all, I would like to say thank you to IntraFish for inviting me here today. And I've actually been working a lot with diversity, because diversity creates value for the business. It's important for the bottom line. And Anna was also mentioning the next generation. The most important thing we can do is actually to push on the next generation and to be a really good role model. I was born in Mauritius. I grew up with a very strong aunt that actually always told me that you can become whatever you want to. You just need to work really hard. My grandfather, he said that every woman have the right to have the education. There were 7 children, 2 women. But he said that every single woman have the right to have the education. So my mother went to England when I was 3 months old to get her education. And I stayed with him and my aunt until I was 6 years old. So of course, it's important. It can be tough and it's hard, but that's how it is. My first job, and I've been also working in management team with only men. I also have to be very honest and say that a lot of the men that I have been working with have actually promoted me. But I did something myself. It's not only that people need to create opportunities around you. You have to reach your hand up. Because if you do not believe that you're able to take a leadership role, who else will believe in you? So it's also to look yourself in the mirror. And to begin with, they also said that we have sometimes it's also the women that are stopping other women to reach the top. And that's something that we need to actually think about, how we actually act and what we do in our day-to-day operation. I always take the time to actually take a coffee, a lunch, or just to talk with somebody that needs advice or help. Everybody have the time to take that cup of coffee. And many of the times, it's females that are wondering, what have you been doing? How have you actually been successful? But you also need to talk about your mistakes so other people can learn about it. And bear in mind that the next generation that's coming out, more and more female or girls are taking higher education. What will happen is that the balance will be different. There might be the boys that will not actually have the leadership role. And that's something that we just need to think, what can we do? Because the most important thing is not to have female leaders or male leaders, but great leaders. And that's what I always say, that even if we have, call it 12 great men here, it's important that we get even more men to come to this kind of forum and conferences, because we have to share the problem, and we can't do that on our own. So, my first job as a leader was that I was told that we were going to have a management meeting, and then I was told to write minutes of meeting. And I said, why? And everybody went quiet. And then they told me, because you're so really good at writing. And I said, well, if I'm so good at writing and everybody else of the maids are not good, maybe we should share on it. I was never ever told to write the minutes of meeting again. And another thing is that I always think that my job is to challenge, so those that come after have a better way. And I was also told that, well, we don't hire girls that are around 23, 24 years old. And I said again, why? Because they get pregnant. And I said, wow, what a miracle. So I hired a girl that was 8 months pregnant. And everybody else, are you crazy? No, I'm not crazy. But I got the most loyal employee you could actually have. And another thing is that some of the challenges that women actually faces in the day-to-day work is that establishing credibility, that's actually difficult for them. Managing up and across the organization is another item. Negotiating. It's not easy sometimes when you don't know how to go about it. So they need help on that. And influencing others. I think they were also mentioning about networking, creating good relationships. Those things are so important to actually be able to move forward. And when it comes to the competences, that's important to actually promote. Then you have managing organizational complexity, and also about strategic thinking and the acting. It's also important that we actually help young female leaders to actually take leadership or when it comes to their own personal development. And as I said, if you really, really want something, you actually have to tell others about it. If not, you will actually not be able to get any of your, call it, dreams come true. And when I'm working with diversity, I always say that it's not necessary about if you're male or female. It's about actually having the best person in that position. What we've done in Grieg Seafood is that each time we recruit people, in the final heat, as we call it, there should always be a man and a woman. And the best one will win. And in the seafood industry, I have been here for 1.5 years. We can't get women to take the big roles. The big roles is not necessary to be in the corporate organization, it's to be the top management. Each time we apply, it's like they just think that I can't do it, rather than thinking that, is it something there I can learn to do? If you have a list of 10 criteria, and you always say, I can't do this, I can't do that, and this is not achievable, or I won't make it. Each of the roles I've been taking during my career, and I have to say that after the 3 first weeks, I was wondering, oh my God, what have you actually done now? But after 3 months, you actually realize that you're able to perform. And after 6 months, you're just kind of wondering, oh my God, what if I didn't take on that challenge, that opportunity? Because if you don't take it, someone else will take it, and they might sit there for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. You don't know. So when I left my previous job, I said that, well, I'm a female, I sit in the corporate, but I'm the first one just leaving my seat to somebody else. And this is again about succession planning, because if you really want women to take on more roles, somebody have to leave. And that somebody, sometime it can be, sorry for saying that, but a lot of men are also sitting at some of the boards. And statistically, a lot of men are losing the board seats, women are getting more. In Norway, equal opportunity and those things, yes, we have come far, but not far enough. There's still a long way to go. And I have 2 daughters. I would really like them to actually achieve their dreams. I push them every single day. I even push the boyfriend of my oldest daughter, so he's becoming quite a nice guy. And I've been traveling a lot in my jobs. And I've met so many strange comments like, oh my God, you're girls. poor them. And I say, why? No, because you're traveling so much. And you know, when I got those comments, I became really, really sad. And I was thinking, I'm not a good mother. I should have been at home. I shouldn't have taken that role. But then you have to face those challenges. So my answer to those questions was that, you know, each time I come back from travel, they want to hear what you have done, what I have done, and they learn about different culture. And that's good for them. But then they didn't stop. So they said, oh my God, your poor husband. And I say, there's nothing wrong with my husband. He's able to open the fridge. So just to actually sometimes just be very solid, very strong, and think that you can if you want. It just takes so much more time, but you should never give up. And if you're in your comfort zone, what happens? There's no innovation. Nothing happens at all. So I would like to sum up with a quote from Anne Frank, saying that no one has ever become poor by giving. And you also said that, Laura, that sharing what we have is so important. And, you know, it's up to us. What do we do when we go out from here? What happens? Was it just a nice session, or do we do anything? Because if you are inspired, you should go back and do something already tomorrow morning. When I started in the seafood industry 1.5 years ago, I'm not this type of person that wake up very early in the morning. I have to admit that. But I found myself at work, you know, 6:30. And my new colleagues were thinking, oh my God, who have we employed? Because they didn't come at work before 8 or 8:30. So I had to actually, you know, use longer time at home. But the reason was passion. Passion for my work, passion for the seafood industry. And I did ask one of my colleagues in BC, why do you work here? And he said, Kathleen, it's not an ordinary job. It's a lifestyle. And that quote became the heading of a new book that Grieg actually wrote last year. So thank you again for having me here.